Sweet. Let's see if this works. It's very glamorous.
We're recording in VR!
Alright, for this week's show and tell, we are talking about virtual reality. And in fact, I'm recording this section of the show in virtual reality. Oh my goodness.
Whoa!
I wore my Geeky shirt just for that.
You can look at my stomach real well.
Yeah, you can see our really high-tech gear.
Yeah!
Hopefully I'll actually get this on YouTube and it won't be too big of a file for YouTube to take it. So, we'll see how it works. If not, I'm sorry.
This is pretty sweet.
But there we go. So we got it recording in virtual reality. We're going to be talking about virtual reality games. You see, those of you watching the video, if it becomes a thing, Chad's VR video gaming gear, which we'll talk about in a minute. But let's start with, what was your first virtual reality experience?
My first virtual reality experience was, I think it was about 2 years ago. And it was just basically the phone YouTube one. Mm-hmm. And Disney released a Lion King VR thing, where you can watch the opening number, the Circle of Life, the Broadway version.
Yeah.
And you can watch that all in VR. And as you move your phone, kind of like the Google Cardboard style.
Right.
As you move your phone, you're looking at different things, you can see it. And it was one of those experiences. I did it in my bedroom, and I was like, what is this? And I moved my phone, and it moved, and I was like, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. I cry at everything. Like, the first time I got my 3D TV and watched something in 3D, I was like, this is so beautiful! And then I watched this in VR, and first of all, it's a Lion King. Second of all, it's in this magic technology. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just like, this is so cool! I just started crying while I'm watching it. But it was amazing, because you're on the top of this giant thing, and you can look down and you can see zebras and elephants. And then you're backstage and you're seeing all of these puppets go by your face. It's so cool.
Oh, man.
That was the first thing I had with VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing that I can remember, I didn't even, try it out. That a couple years ago, a friend of mine was staying, and he's got another podcast I've actually mentioned on the show before that's about Linux. His show is called System AU, if you're interested in Linux banter. Also, he's Australian, so he has an Australian accent. But he came and he was visiting, and he's like, the Google announcement's happening today. And I'm like, I don't really care. But so he turned it on, and they were also talking about Google Cardboard. And I was like rolling my eyes and like, what is that nonsense? And they were talking about how they had released Google Cardboard the year before, and they had updated the I guess this not really specs because it's a piece of cardboard, but I guess the design of it to make it better and to be able to use it on all sorts of phones. And I was like, all right, this is kind of interesting. So I printed out the instructions, which you can still do somewhere on the Google website, or a Google website. If you just Google Cardboard into Google, you'll find it.
So many Googles.
But it's basically, just print out to make a headset for VR apps and stuff for any phone. And all you need is cardboard, and you can buy the lenses off of Amazon for $10 or cheaper. And then a little bit of Velcro, and that's it. And you just kind of fold this thing up that you've cut out. The first time I tried it, my cardboard was too thick, so it didn't bend very well to make it into the shape. So I flattened it. I think it's still a little bit too thick, but you could literally make it out of a cereal box if you really wanted to, if you had a big enough cereal box. And then you just kind of slip your phone into it, and there you go. You got your own little virtual reality headset. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I have barely watched anything on it because it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's not great.
Yeah.
There are definitely better virtual reality headsets out there. But I was like, oh man, I could totally see where this is going. Just watching movies that were recorded in this. And there was, a roller coaster test thing that was like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yep.
And yeah, now I've just been kind of hooked on it, even though it's super expensive.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Technology isn't quite there yet. So lately, I, probably a couple months ago, went on Amazon and I was like, all right, I kind of want a VR camera. Because, like, I've seen a couple of them on YouTube, especially YouTube now supports 360 video. Facebook's sort of starting to get into it, like when you shoot a panoramic picture and you, go into it and you can use your phone to move it around. And, like, yeah, I want a camera that does it. But everything I looked at, they're, like, really expensive. Like, for something even semi-decent, like, you're looking at $1,000. Like, if you're looking for, like, the GoPro one, you gotta have, like, at least 6 GoPros to put into it.
Yep.
There are ones where you need, like, at least 12 of them if you want, like, the 360, like a cylindrical one instead of the cube one.
Yeah.
But I found on Amazon Warehouse the Kodak version, because Kodak was coming out with a new one that was, like, an all-in-one camera. And then I found the one I'm currently using right now, for like $400. And it's actually 2 cameras back to back, and they have this like little mounting that you screw in. And I was like, all right, that's reasonable for like a toy to play around with.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It's even amazing is a stretch. Sorry, Kodak. All of the cameras that are even remotely like cheap for VR are still pretty sucky. Like, I'm not gonna lie. There's one that's called the 360 Fly that is very similar to just one of these Kodak things that it's looking at 360 like above a certain point, because it's only one lens that's super fisheye, and then distorts it afterwards in a program and then makes it 360 from there. So one of these Kodak ones does that by itself. But I was like, why do you only want really like half of the sphere? Like, I want to see like a full 360. So that's why I went with the dual version. But the thing that really sucks about having multiple cameras for a VR camera is the stitching in between. That's the hard part. Because each camera is looking at something different, so they're focusing differently. So when you're going over to like the edges, especially like super close up, like if this video works out and you see it online, hi people on the internet, you're going to see that my hand is probably a huge mess right now. Like, it's either half disappeared or like totally distorted. So anything that's close to the camera in sort of that stitching area looks really bizarre. So when I went to Australia, I was testing it out, and I just finally was stitching stuff together, and like half my face was missing because I was just walking around, and I had this thing kind of like on a little tripod, and like because I was sitting where the stitching was, right, I was always holding it like this because I was like, well, I'm not the focus of it anyway. But yeah, like half of my face has disappeared, and and then like the back of my head's there. So depending on where I had the camera on my person, sometimes part of me would be missing. So, and I thought having 2 cameras would kind of allow me to adjust like what the stitching kind of looks like, which I do. There's a program that it comes with that you can kind of adjust that, but you adjust it on one side and then it throws the other side totally off, so it doesn't really do anything at all. So it's kind of frustrating. So yeah, that's for video. If you're looking to buy one, don't expect amazing things. Also, the fact that it's 4K, it's 4K that's been stretched. So when you finally get it up on YouTube, like, it's still pretty grainy. Like, I took video where I was walking in the bush and there were kangaroos. I cannot see the kangaroos even though I know that they're there. So they're sort of like blended in the background.